What if I told you that the most powerful weapon ever created wasn't designed to win wars, but to prevent them? A weapon so destructive that its real power lies in never being used. This is the story of nuclear weapons, history's ultimate mega-weapon, and how humanity went from sticks and stones to the ability to end civilization. To understand nuclear weapons, you have to understand the long journey of weapons themselves, because every major leap in warfare changed how power worked. Early humans fought with what they had: sticks, stone tools, simple weapons for survival. Then came metal, bronze, then iron, swords, spears, shields. Warfare became organized, armies formed, empires expanded. Then came a breakthrough that changed everything: gunpowder. First developed in China, it spread across the world. Cannons, muskets, artillery. Suddenly, distance mattered less. Walls could be broken, armies could be destroyed from afar. Then came industrialization: rifles, machine guns, explosives, railways moving armies, factories producing weapons at scale. World War I showed what industrial warfare looked like: trenches, gas weapons, mass destruction. Then World War II took it even further: tanks, aircraft, submarines, rockets. And for the first time, science itself became a weapon. Because in the background of that war, something was being discovered, not on the battlefield, but in physics: the atom. Scientists in Europe, including in Germany, were studying nuclear fission, the idea that splitting an atom could release enormous energy. And in 1939, a warning was sent. A letter associated with Albert Einstein and other scientists alerted the United States that Nazi Germany might be exploring this possibility. That warning led to one of the most secretive and ambitious projects in history, the Manhattan Project. Led by the United States, with contributions from scientists across the Allied world, it aimed to build a weapon unlike anything ever seen. In 1945, it succeeded: the first nuclear test, and shortly after, the first use: 2 bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. The destruction was immediate, cities devastated, hundreds of thousands killed. But the reasons behind their use remain debated. Some argue it was to end the war quickly, to avoid a costly invasion of Japan. Others suggest it was also a demonstration, a signal, to the world, to other major powers, including the Soviet Union, that a new kind of power now existed. At the same time, Japan's situation was already deteriorating. Its military position was collapsing, and the Soviet Union was preparing to enter the war against Japan, which added further pressure. In reality, multiple factors likely contributed to Japan's surrender, but what is clear is this: the world had changed permanently. One might argue, if nuclear weapons had existed before World War II began, would the war have ever happened at all? Nearly 70 to 85 million people died in that conflict. Entire cities erased, generations lost. Yet nuclear weapons introduce a paradox that still defines global strategy today: the idea that the more destructive a weapon becomes, the less likely it is to be used. If leaders in the 1930s had known that a single decision could annihilate entire nations in minutes, would figures like Adolf Hitler or Winston Churchill have acted more cautiously, fearing mutual destruction? Or would the existence of such weapons have made the conflict even more catastrophic, with nuclear strikes used early, before restraint or doctrine had time to develop? This is the unsettling dilemma at the heart of nuclear deterrence. Did these weapons ultimately prevent future world wars? Or did humanity simply get lucky that they arrived after the deadliest war in history had already run its course? Because once one country had nuclear weapons, others would follow. The Soviet Union tested its first nuclear device in 1949, ending the United States' monopoly and beginning the nuclear arms race. For decades, both sides built more powerful, more numerous, thermonuclear weapons, missiles, submarines, delivery systems that could strike across continents. At its peak, the world had tens of thousands of nuclear warheads, enough to destroy itself many times over. This created a new kind of logic: deterrence, mutually assured destruction, the idea that if both sides could destroy each other, neither would start a war. It was a fragile balance, but it held. Other countries entered the nuclear world. United Kingdom tested its first weapon in 1952. France in 1960, China in 1964, each driven by security concerns, status, and independence. Then came others. India conducted its first test in 1974. Pakistan followed in 1998, a direct response to India. North Korea later developed its own program, demonstrating capability through tests in the 2000s. Israel is widely believed to possess nuclear weapons, though it maintains a policy of ambiguity. Each case has its own story, its own motivations, but the pattern is clear. Nuclear weapons spread because countries saw them as the ultimate guarantee of security. At the same time, some countries moved in the opposite direction. South Africa developed nuclear weapons and then dismantled them voluntarily. Libya abandoned its program. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine inherited nuclear weapons, but gave them up in the 1990s in exchange for security assurances. Others tried, but were stopped. Iraq pursued nuclear capabilities, but was prevented from completing them. Syria had facilities that were later destroyed before becoming operational. These cases show another side of nuclear history, not just development, but prevention, control, and the global effort to limit proliferation. Through treaties like the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty signed in 1968, an attempt to slow the spread, promote disarmament, and encourage peaceful use of nuclear energy. But the system is not perfect, and tensions remain. Today, one of the most closely watched situations is Iran, a country with a long history of nuclear research and enrichment. Its program has been the subject of negotiations, agreements, and disputes, and continues to be a major point of global attention. Not just because of the technology, but because of what it represents: capability, potential, and uncertainty. So what are nuclear weapons, really? They are not just tools of war. They are tools of strategy, of deterrence, of political influence. They shape how countries behave, what wars are fought, and which ones are avoided. Because in a world with nuclear weapons, the cost of miscalculation is unimaginable. And yet, they still exist. Thousands of them, always ready and maintained, always an imminent threat, never used again, but never removed. And that is the paradox. The ultimate weapon is powerful because it is not used. But as long as it exists, the possibility remains. And that raises the biggest question of all. Will nuclear weapons continue to prevent global war, or will they eventually lead to one? What do you think? Are nuclear weapons the reason the world has avoided another major war? Or are they a risk waiting to become reality? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy deep, informative explorations of history, technology, and global power, make sure to subscribe.